Good morning. It's great to see all of you today. We're going to start off with a bang today. As most of you know, I think our Share the Plate offering for the month of January has been the Afro-American Music Institute, or AAMI. 50% of all non-pledge offerings during the month of January have gone to the AAMI. And we have a treat for us today as Reverend Derek Tynes, who is the president of the board for the organization, is here. He's going to say a few words about it. We'll be doing a regular offering later in the service. But he'll say a few words about it and then lead us in some music. So please welcome Derek.
Happily say thank you for your giving this month. The Afro-American Music Institute was founded by Dr. James and Pamela Johnson, who are residents or who transplanted here from Louisiana in 1983, 84. And they started the school, and so here we are 41 years later. And so your offerings are going to help us to expand the building. We are in the middle of a capital campaign, and because we've outgrown our building and we need more room for recitals and performances and community events. And so we are expanding and creating what's going to be known as the Ahmad Jamal Performance Hall. Yes, I'm very excited about that. And the capital campaign is to raise $2.5 million to have that facility open in the next couple of years. And if you know, we lost Ahmad Jamal last year, and he, before he died, generously accepted being named as the namer of that hall, and he was a part of our history. And so we're very thankful for your donations, and it will assist us, and we'll find a way to acknowledge that publicly as we go forward. Let me say, next month, our first event of the year will be Gumbo Fest. And so the last Sunday of every February, we have a team of people come up from New Orleans, and they make fresh gumbo. And so on the 26th of February, I'll make sure you get the announcement, the 26th of February at 4 o'clock from 4 to 7 at the St. James AME Church in East Liberty. We will be eating fresh gumbo. And the live music will be performed by the Zyloco Band that's coming up from New Orleans as well. And so we'll be dancing and line dancing and eating gumbo on the 26th of February. So mark your calendars for that. Thank you so much, and let's sing. This is Liberating Love Month. And so for me, I have been singing love songs all month long. And so one of my favorite songs is this. So help me sing this song. There is more love somewhere. Help me sing. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There's more joy. There's more joy. There is more joy somewhere.
Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We are delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission here at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Rebecca Senaway, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation, and how grateful am I to be here this morning. If you're a newcomer or a visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email newsletter. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd like to hear from you and extend a welcome to you as well. A gentle reminder to everyone to please silence your phones and other buzzing things so we will be uninterrupted this morning. Today's service is titled Prophetic Love and Rage. It has been said that if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. While it's true that outrage and anger are appropriate, necessary, and even productive emotions, it's also true that something more is needed to nurture and sustain social justice movements. How do we bring both our outrage and our love to this work? Our opening words were written by Andrea Hawkins Camper. In the houses of the holy, the world pauses. In the hearts of the holy, love abides. In the havens of the holy, hope comforts. In the hearths of the holy, spirit refreshes. Come then, one and all, gather in. Come then, one and all, gather here. Bring here all of your heart. Bring here all of your body. Bring here all of your soul. Come then, bring the broken, the vulnerable, the ragged, the outcast, the other. Come then, gather in, come. Please join me in saying the words for lighting our chalice. The chalice we light is a symbol of our faith. It binds us together as one people, a reminder that our common work is the creation of beloved community among ourselves and in our world.
Good morning. Please rise again and bow to your spirit to join in singing our opening hymn, I Know I Can.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on when sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My family in my heart, my neighbor in my song. The troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is near. Though troubles wait at every turn, I my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning, friends. If there are any kiddos that want to come on up for our Time for All Ages, now is your chance. All right, good morning, friends. So good to see y'all today. Can I see some smiles? Okay, good enough. All right, this morning's story is called The Wind in Both Ears. Angus MacLean is revered as one of our Unitarian Universalist ancestors. He was a Universalist, a professor of religious education, and dean of the theological school at St. Lawrence University. He once told a story about when he was young and working with his father in their cellar. Does anybody know what a cellar is? Do you have a cellar in your house? Yeah, it is. It's sort of like a basement. It's a place where people store things like food and supplies and other things that we need to live every day. Many old Pittsburgh homes have a cellar, sometimes even a coal cellar, like my Mimi's house. I always thought it was a cold cellar, but it's a coal cellar. Yes, I still call it the cold cellar. It's cold. Angus's father was a farmer and a fisherman in Canada, and on this particular day, they were working in the cellar to check on their winter supply of potatoes and to get rid of any old, stinky, rotten ones that they might find in there. When they were finished, they were going to set out some nets in the water to catch some fresh cod fish to eat. So Angus's father sent Angus up out of the cellar to see about the wind, to see what direction it was blowing from. If it was blowing from one direction, it would be okay to set out the nets. If it was coming from the other direction, they'd have to wait until later. So after Angus went up the stairs, his father called out to him from the cellar, "Is there a steady breeze?" "Yes," Angus said, "there is a steady breeze. In fact, it was a very strong breeze." Then his father said, "Now face it. Face the breeze so that the wind sings in both your ears. Then tell me where your nose points." Angus remembered those words and thought about them later. For him, those words meant that in order to come up with a plan to figure out what we're going to do, we have to face whatever it is that's coming our way, whether it's a stiff breeze or challenges of whatever kind. In order to know how we are to respond to these challenges, we first need to face them head on, with the wind singing in both of our ears. Now, that's not always an easy thing to do, especially when the challenges that we're facing seem so difficult, sometimes even insurmountable or impossible to solve. Right now in our country and our communities, we're facing a lot of really hard things. And sometimes it seems like the voices of fear and hatred are the loudest ones. Sometimes we could get so angry that it's hard to do just about anything at all. But the first step in facing any challenge is to face it squarely, which is easier to do if we're not alone, but have the support of our friends and our families and our church. So what I encourage all of us to do when we're in the middle of challenging times is to turn and face those challenges until we hear the wind singing in both ears. That way, we might know more about what we're facing and together figure out how to do whatever needs to be done. And with that, we're all going to go to our RE classes.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. The song that the choir is about to sing was composed by Mark Miller, which is one of mine, and we've really enjoyed singing some of his pieces previously, with words by Lindy Thompson. And it was written in response to the shooting that took place at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. And then that's all I'm going to say. I think the song and the words really speak for itself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Judy Spiegel, and I'm a member of the pastoral care team. Our covenant to this congregation is to offer personal connections to those going through difficult life events, whatever they may be. We believe that it's our personal connections with one another that binds this very special community together. The pastoral care team is here for you, so please don't you hesitate to get in touch with any of us. Each week at this time in the service, we share joys and sorrows submitted by members of the congregation. We share the things that we are celebrating as well as the things that we are mourning, so that they need not be held alone. Joys and sorrows may be submitted online from the Sunnyhill website, sunnyhill.org, or by filling out one of the paper forms as you come into the entryway on your left. I have 6 joys and sorrows to share with you this morning. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond with me by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." I have a sorrow from Kristen Estelle. My mother died after a brief and forced hospitalization. I am now trying to figure out how to grieve a complicated but central relationship in my life that is gone long before I ever expected it to be. To Kristen, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy sorrow from Maureen Husselbeck. My sorrow is that a few months ago, I needed a stent inserted in my heart. During the procedure, I experienced life-threatening complications that required life-sustaining interventions multiple times. This caused me to have an extensive heart attack. My joy is that I am currently recovering well. Jerry and I are incredibly grateful. We wanted to share this with our many friends at Sunnyhill. We miss you, and you are forever in our hearts. To Maureen and her family, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy from Nanette Miller. In the early morning of Friday, January 26, in Wiesbaden, Germany, my daughter Amanda and her husband Lucas welcomed our first grandchild, baby girl Tilia, which is the Latin name for the linden tree. Baby and dad are all healthy, mom too, and happy. I can't wait to visit next week and hold my precious granddaughter for the very first time. To Nanette and to her daughter, husband, and new grandbaby, we hold you in our hearts. I have a sorrow, a joy from John Lewis. I'm going through some personal challenges and could really use the support of this community. To John Lewis, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy from Lois and Nancy Brown. We will be down the street from our daughter and son-in-law and almost around the corner from Sunnyhill. Many thanks for so much encouragement and help from Sunnyhillers. Saturday was moving day for Lois and Nancy Brown, who left their home in Upper St. Clair for their new house in Mount Lebanon. To Lois and Nancy, we hold you in our hearts. I have a joy from Phil Cassidy. 2 weeks ago on Thursday, I accepted an offer from Pittsburgh Public Theater of a production key position in audio. I have been working at the O'Reilly Theater in this capacity since Tuesday, the 16th of January, and it has been going very well so far. This is a return to my roots, which started 30 years ago at the Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia, and then the Alley Theater in Houston for 12 years in the late 90s and early 2000s. I am very excited about this opportunity. To Phil, we hold you in our hearts. As we listen to our musical meditation, we invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light a candle, place it in the sand, and then return to your seats.
When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out.
Please join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Remember to breathe always. Take a moment simply to sense breath coming in and breath going out. When you are struggling, breathe. When you are celebrating, breathe. When you are trying something new, breathe. When you are facing the same old challenges, breathe. When life is good, breathe. When everything comes unglued, breathe. Sitting here right now, surrounded by people who care, breathe. In the silence of this moment, breathe. Breathe in the peace of this place and this moment. Breathe out the love that longs to be loosed in our world. May we remember and return to this place of openness and breathing throughout all the moments of our lives. Amen. In a sermon a couple of months ago, I quoted the Reverend William Barber describing what he calls the prophetic voice and how and when it must rise up. He said, "The prophetic voice rises when government systems and sometimes even religious systems abdicate their responsibility to those whom Scripture calls the least of these. When the forces of extremism become so overwhelming that they depress the hope of the people, the prophetic voice and mission, according to Barber, is to connect words and actions in ways that build restorative hope so that a movement for restorative justice can arise." In today's social and political landscape, it's easy for many of us to see the forces of extremism at work in the world. It's easy to see the damage and the suffering that can be caused by these forces. Just this week, for example, we saw the state legislature in Ohio passing an extremist bill that bans gender-affirming care for transgender children and youth, a bill that will certainly cause suffering and even lead to needless deaths. This bill was passed despite the fact that, according to polls, the majority of the citizens of the state of Ohio oppose it. Each week, there are multiple examples of extreme pieces of legislation on a variety of issues making their way through state houses across the country. In most cases, these bills have to do with so-called wedge issues related to LGBTQ rights and reproductive rights. These laws are debated and passed with little or no regard to the will of the people and with little or no regard to the suffering that such legislation will cause. During this election year, we're going to be seeing more rather than less of this kind of legislation, this kind of cynical, fear-mongering, and demagoguery and amoral grandstanding in an effort by politicians on the far right to outdo each other in acts of indifference and cruelty to those whom they have chosen to other, to consider as less than, as unworthy, as undeserving of the protection of the law. When we see these extremist pieces of legislation, it is easy to become overwhelmed, to feel hopeless, to cycle rapidly between outrage and depression over and over again. Times like these call out for the prophetic voice and the prophetic imagination. But what does it mean to think and act prophetically? Other than being outraged, what is involved in prophetic work, both historically and in our own time? My go-to theologian when it comes to the prophets is Walter Brueggemann, who notes that there are two primary characteristics of prophets, both from the Bible and from our own era. The first is that they are rooted in a covenantal tradition. That is, they draw upon the most important promises that are at the heart of any meaningful religious or civic tradition, promises that have to do with love and justice and the common good and mutual care. The second primary characteristic of prophets is an ability to reframe or reimagine what is going on around them in a way that helps people see social realities in a new way. Prophets use language, often poetic language, in a way that breaks through the rot and decay of unjust and immoral systems and exposes them for what they are, while also offering a hopeful vision of justice and morality restored. If you've ever heard Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, you are familiar with prophetic language, with words that address harsh realities while at the same time invoking the almost but not yet here world that can be. The dream that is not just a dream, but a vision that transcends harsh realities, not by ignoring them, but by addressing them head on, knowing that there is something more. Brueggemann notes that much of prophetic speech is in fact poetry. He describes prophets in this way: I think they are moved the way every good poet is moved, to have to describe the world differently according to the gifts of their insight. And of course, in their own time and every time since, the people that control the power structure do not know what to make of them, so they characteristically try to silence them. What power people, those in power, always discover is that you cannot finally silence poets. They just keep coming at you in threatening and transformative ways. There are a lot of images of poets in the world, but I love that one. They just keep coming at you in threatening and transformative ways, armed with their pens. In an interview with Krista Tippett, Brueggemann said, I think it was Kafka who said that a poet or a novelist is like a pickaxe that attacks the way we've got things arranged. And I think these poems, the words of the prophets, are like pickaxes that are not welcome among us, but we're going to miss out on the reality of our life if we are narcoticized both about the loss and about the newness. So the two characteristics of prophets and prophetic work that I would like to keep in mind today are, first of all, tradition, being rooted in something larger than oneself alone, and imagination, the ability to conceive of and articulate something that breaks through despair like a pickaxe and leads toward hope. We're living in a world that is, in Brueggemann's words, narcoticized, in some cases literally narcoticized, strung out on opioids and alcohol and other cultures of death that surround us. In other cases, we are narcoticized in the sense of being numbed, feeling so overwhelmed by the personal and societal challenges that we face that we just give up thinking about it or trying to work to make things better. In these moments of great despair, we start to suffer from a kind of collective amnesia. We forget about our tradition, about our history. Our memories of what's most important and the people who have done this work before us become clouded or lost. So part of the prophetic task is to invoke this tradition and this memory. As Brueggemann says, memory produces hope in the same way that amnesia produces despair. Memory produces hope in the same way that amnesia produces despair. In a Holly Near song that Mary and I sang at this service last week, we sang the words, "I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change." Prophetic work restores our memory and produces hope that might help us overcome the despair-inducing, narcoticized amnesia of our times. But none of this work is easy. Prophetic work, working for social justice, working to bring into being the beloved community is incredibly challenging and sometimes incredibly lonely work. It is especially challenging and lonely when it seems that all around us is cloaked in a darkness that grows darker by the moment. Our current political landscape is dark and growing darker. If we thought the last two presidential election cycles were dark, the current election cycle threatens to take us even further into the abyss. But it is precisely in this place of despair and darkness that the work of prophetic imagination must begin. Some of you may recall a speech given by author and activist Valerie Carr in 2017, in which she said, "The future is dark, but what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but it is waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor?" She continued, "What if all our grandmothers and grandfathers are standing behind us now, those who survived occupation and genocide, slavery and Jim Crow, detentions and political assault? What if they are whispering in our ear, 'You are brave'? What if this is our nation's greatest transition? What does the midwife tell us to do?" Carr asks. "Breathe and then push. Breathe and then push. Now is the time to labor, to breathe together and to push together, to breathe and to push, to keep on breathing and keep on pushing until something new has been born and the darkness of the tomb has been transformed into the life-giving darkness of the womb." This is the work of the prophetic imagination, to transform the darkness from a place of death to a place of new life. Even from death and unimaginable trauma, new life rises up. Our task is to breathe and to push. Wendell Berry is one of our contemporary poet prophets. Berry frequently acts as a midwife of sorts. As described by Kyle Kramer, any midwife or mother knows that to bring a child into the world requires pain and great effort. Wendell Berry has worked faithfully and ceaselessly amid our era's long, difficult labor for a more hopeful future, sharing in its pangs as an unflinching and clear-eyed witness. But as he testifies in his decades-long series of Sabbath poems, there is a time for work and worry, and there is a time for rest and wonder when we are called to realize that whatever is good and right in the future will come not only by our choosing and working for it, but like a newborn child, as a gift. These ideas are expressed beautifully in Berry's poem titled Sabbath Poem 10. He writes, "Whatever is foreseen in joy must be lived out from day to day. Vision held open in the dark by our 10,000 days of work. Harvest will fill the barn, for that the hand must ache, the face must sweat." So that's the pushing part, the 10,000 days of work, the aching hand, the sweating face. But then comes an interval of breathing, the vision held open in the dark, and Berry continues, "And yet no leaf or grain is filled by work of ours. The field is tilled and left to grace. That we may reap, great work is done while we're asleep. When we work well, a Sabbath mood rests on our day and finds it good." And that's the breathing part. Push and breathe, push and breathe. The work of the prophet is incredibly challenging, and yet it is work that I believe all of us are called to participate in some way or another. There will be times when we doubt our ability to make any kind of difference in the world whatsoever, when we feel that we're surrounded by a smothering darkness that threatens to suffocate us. But during those times of doubt, during those times of tomb-like darkness, we must continue the work of the prophet and begin to reimagine our circumstances as the darkness of the womb from which new life and new hope might spring. I hope and pray that we will work to call out injustice whenever we see it, to call ourselves and those around us back to the values in which our tradition is rooted, and together to imagine and to act upon these values in a way that helps give birth to a world where restorative justice and restorative hope might emerge at last. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. Rise again to sing our closing hymn, One Foot. The choir is going to help us out with this one. We're all going to sing the chorus together, then the verses are call and response. We got to get our clapping going. There it is. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with. Sing along. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one
foot in front of the other, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love.
Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there.
You gotta
put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love.
You gotta put
one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. I know you're scared.
Well, I'm scared too.
Well, I'm scared too.
But here I am.
But here I am.
Right next to you.
Right next to you.
Yeah, you
Gotta put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other, and lead with.
What we're gonna do? We're gonna lead with love. Again. Lead with love. Once more. We're gonna lead with love. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Choir, you're up.
Our beneficiary for January is the Afro-American Music Institute, an organization based in Pittsburgh's Homewood neighborhood whose purpose is to nurture young musicians through a curriculum that promotes and embraces African-American music and gives children and youth the opportunity to grow and mature as people and as musicians through learning and performing. 50% of all of our non-pledge collections will go to AAMI today, and this is the last week for that collection, so please give generously. If you'd like to make a gift via our online giving system, you can do so by going to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says Online Giving and follow the instructions. Or you can give by text at 412-324-3130. And for those of you who are here with us in person, we'll be passing our offering baskets in just a moment. And thank you for that generosity.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive in this great turning. We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn these bars. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. We shall be known. It is time now to thrive. It is time now to thrive. It is time now to lead ourselves into the way. We shall be known. It is time now to thrive. And what a time to be alive in this great turning. We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love.
Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
One of the truths about hope that I have found is that one acts one's way into hope. It doesn't happen if you just passively wait around hoping that hope will descend upon you. And so I want every one of you to think about how you want to be engaged in the world, how you want to work for justice at a time that calls out for people that do so. And I want to give a shout out to our social justice teams who are really doing a great job leading us at this moment. Almost every Sunday you can find a table, including today, out in the fellowship hall where you can take direct action this very morning. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like there's nothing that can be done or that there's so much to be done that we can never possibly do it. It all gets done one step at a time, and that is where hope is born. That is where the darkness of the tomb is transformed into the darkness of the womb. We'll close with these words from Andrea Hawkins Camper. May we see all as it is, and may it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be, for if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge, to be the living embodiment of our principles, to be about the work of building the beloved community, to be a people of intention and a people of conscience. Go in peace.